Hi, I'm Dr. Tami Moser. Welcome to the Journey Coach. This is where we help professionals who are pursuing advanced degrees through their coursework and their dissertation. We give tips and guidance on tools, methods, and processes to help you be as successful as possible as you work through this journey. Spend some time on the juggle struggle 2 that we face. So there's a juggle struggle 1. If you have or are in your coursework phase, then you may want to watch that one first, and we'll have a link to it in the description below. But for this video, we're going to focus on some of the challenges we face in the dissertation phase and things you may want to prepare for as you get closer to that. So let's get started. As with the coursework, there are really 4 areas that you have to juggle, right? And there are specific things in each one that may look a little different for every one of us as we're working on our degree. So the first is now instead of coursework, we actually are substituting the dissertation phase, which looks different, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The next is really looking at our personal life, our family relationships, and the responsibilities and non-negotiable items that we have there that we need to be very aware of and make sure we're juggling effectively, so the relationships that we had when we started the doctorate that are important to us still exist and are healthy when we get to the end of this journey. Then we have our career or job, if you're in something that you just work on every day but isn't actually part of your long-term outlook for what you want to do. But many of us are professionals and already on a career path when we start our doctorate. And when we do that, there are certain things that we really have to take into consideration as we're working on the dissertation and as we think through our time commitments and what we're doing. And then there is our physical, emotional, and mental well-being. So in all of these areas, we have specific things that we are going to be juggling, and some things that are balls that we would like to juggle effectively, but we have to set to the side because they really are not something we're going to be able to handle well while we're in the dissertation. That's not nice. Siri kind of added a little note on that. So let's talk dissertation and the differences between the dissertation and the coursework as part of the juggling we're going to have to do. So in coursework, it's very defined and there's a high level of structure to it, right? I have coursework that is due, usually due dates that are based on different weeks. I know exactly what I have to get done. I know when it has to be done, and I have pretty detailed instructions, generally speaking, on what to do. Then I have grading and feedback that allows me to move forward. And generally speaking, I do an assignment, I get a grade for it, I get feedback, which may or may not even be relevant in the next stage of assignments due, and then we move on. And so I don't go back and fix anything. I'm not asked to do edits. If I even have that kind of work or interaction in the course, it's pretty minimal. So there's some things about that keep us on track, and we're very structured in what we're juggling. When you get to the dissertation phase, depending on the program, and again, it could be called a field project, a capstone project, a dissertation, and they could be different lengths, right? Depending on whether I'm pursuing a PhD or a doctorate, which we've covered in another video, what those differences are. And that can definitely impact overall project design by the program. But the end result is very seldom are there very hard deadlines in what you're doing. In other words, it's either a dissertation course you're being enrolled in, or it may be structured where you do have gates, like there's a 9:10, a 9:20, a 9:30, and you have to be at a certain place to be advanced on. It could just be milestone based, and you're in your dissertation seminar, and it's just called that, and you just stay in dissertation seminar as long as you stay in dissertation seminar. Sometimes there are limits in how long you can stay, and for most programs, there's a 7 to 10 year cap on the overall from when you start to when you have to be finished, or you time out and you're ABD, all but dissertation, and you can't finish. So the challenge we have here, and part of what you have to juggle, is the shift to you're managing the project and timelines yourself. And I have run into, I don't know how many doctoral learners, when they get to the dissertation phase, and I'm either a committee chair, I am a committee member, or they're a part of the journey coach and I'm providing guidance and help, where that disconnect between the very structured course room setting and the dissertation phase, where I'm just writing on the dissertation, creates some real struggle in defining what you have to do and when you have to do it. Because typically when you get to that stage, you do not have a chair who's going to stay on you. Now, you could have a program that says if maybe you have to fill out a form at the very beginning, committing to what you're going to complete in that term, and their expectation is you complete it. And if you don't, that can end up with a not satisfactory versus a satisfactory, because dissertation seminars or the courses associated with dissertation don't generally, I don't know of a program that has a grade. It's a satisfactory or not satisfactory. You're either moving forward or you're not. And this creates additional stress and pressure. Now, part of what the Journey Coach does in the Dissertation Accelerator is we have a full dissertation project built out in a project management system with instructions on each step and subtasks associated with those tasks. So it provides you that guidance. And quite frankly, you don't even have to be a part of the accelerator to get the project management. You can just get the project management by itself and go in and use it to move through your dissertation. And that's designed because, having gone through it twice myself as a learner and having worked with so many students who get stuck here, and it's almost like they can't juggle anything effectively because they don't even know how to structure their time for the dissertation itself. What that often means is those other areas of your life take all your time and you're not getting anything done with the dissertation, or it's minimal work. This is part of the prioritizing what's going into your, what balls you're putting in the air and where your time is going. And too many think, oh, this will be easy. It won't take as much time as my coursework to work on the dissertation because I don't have these assignments due. When the bottom line is you really are in control in how quickly you get done. And if you don't handle this phase of really figuring out what you need to juggle here and how to put all these balls in the air in the dissertation phase and manage your deadlines and due dates and everything on your own or with help from us, then you can really get stuck. And stuck in a way you can't move forward. So my recommendation to you is that you start with an understanding of what your commitment of time to the dissertation is going to be every week. And over the next, and I usually do say break it into quarters, over the next 90 days, plan out what your commitment's going to be, how much time a week, what times of the work week or weekdays versus weekends you're going to put into this. You're going to separate out your research and reading time from your writing time and even your thinking time. And if you walk through that process, then you're going to make better decisions overall about what you're actually juggling as you move forward, and you're going to be successful in keeping the balls in the air you need to. Now, that being said, you still have those other areas of your life that take precedence here too. So I would also recommend we have a form that you can download that has you just capture some of this information, reflect a little bit, decide what you're going to commit. And part of what you're going to do then is say, okay, have a conversation with my primary relationship. So this may be my partner, my significant other, my spouse. It could even be just a roommate, best friend, parent, your child, whoever you need to talk to sit down and go, this is what we need to talk about for me to juggle this effectively. What do I need to be at? What can we set aside and just not do this next quarter? We can't take that family vacation, or you can take the kids on the family vacation. I'm staying home. Or I know we're having a family reunion. I can't come. Or I'll be able to come Christmas Day and spend the day, but then I'm not spending the week. Everybody's looks different. What your priorities are, what you've got to juggle while working on your dissertation, and the time commitments that takes is really important. So you have those conversations. Then I look at my career. So I always ask questions in our 90-day planning phase. So every 90 days in the Journey Coach, we do a planning session to help everybody kind of get a handle on what they're going to commit to in the next 90 days. And this is something that comes as a part of the Dissertation Accelerator, or that if you're part of the writing sessions, the ride along sessions, you can add that on and come do that with that group. But what you're basically doing is taking the time to sit back and go, I've got to plan the next 90 days. I've got to make my commitments. I've got to decide what I'm juggling, what's a priority, what I need to keep in the air and not drop, right? And so we walk through these, and you can get a form to fill out and do this yourself. Or like I said, you could look at some of those other options on the Journey Coach. So when you get into this, then my career. So do I have any work trips in the next quarter? Do I need to, do we have something like, if I'm in higher education, it might be in my program, we're going through an accreditation site visit. Maybe this is our site visit time. So this week, total site visit, not going to be working on my dissertation. That has to come into play in the commitment I make to my chair, what I say I'm going to accomplish on any kind of plan they have me submit. I mean, I really have to get a handle on it myself, because again, they don't say you've got 4 assignments, 6 discussion questions. None of that's there. You got to write 20-page papers 4 times during the course. You make the decisions, right? So it's vital you do this really effectively and you think through the commitments. It doesn't mean you might not have a work commitment you can't bend on, and that's a priority. So part of this is prioritizing what really has to be done versus what doesn't. So in a professional setting, sometimes that can really lead to what I'm going to delegate. I'm not going to delegate these things and that will work out fine. And these things I can't delegate and I absolutely have to do. Then it's your physical, your mental, your emotional well-being, eating, exercise. We have a starting the dissertation kind of course that you can work through, and a whole section of that surrounds the physical, emotional, and mental well-being. And a lot of people can crash and burn in the dissertation phase and not complete because they totally ignore those areas. And the stress level gets so high and they start to fall into the procrastination trap. And by the time it's all said and done, they don't prioritize well. They're dropping balls, and the balls they're dropping are all associated with the dissertation. They can time out, have too many not satisfactory in terms of completions of quarters or sessions, and end up in a situation where they don't complete. I hate for that to happen, for you to invest all the time and money in completing the coursework and then not dig down and get done with the dissertation. It's a tragedy, frankly, but this is part of it. These things don't get paid attention to. And again, like in most instances, the physical, mental, and emotional well-being tends to be what we always put to the side and we bend on, because it's like, oh, I can't do that for myself. But some of you need to run every day. You need that 1 hour where you're running around the neighborhood or you're at the track to relieve stress so you can think clearly and actually keep everything else working. Maybe you need to go lift weights. Maybe you need to do yoga. Maybe it is a bubble bath every evening with the door shut, a do not disturb. I'm not talking to kids. I'm not talking to spouse. I'm not answering the phone. I mean, whatever it is, it's okay to have that. In fact, it's needed. So thinking that through too, what do you need for you so you can think clearly, manage your stress levels, emotionally handle working your way through the dissertation, keeping your relationships healthy so that doesn't have a negative physical, mental, and emotional toll, and get done. So, this phase of the dissertation, I mean, thinking about the dissertation is distinctly different in what you're juggling and how you have to think about what you're juggling than when you're in the coursework. And most of the time, part of this is the shift from thinking about things, even if you did a great job of juggling, you never dropped balls, or it was very seldomly dropped balls while you were doing the coursework phase. Now you're really struggling in the dissertation phase. And it's because you're thinking about it the same way. You're thinking about that juggle the same way, and it just is different. So I hope this started to give you some insight into how to think about what you need to juggle, understanding that you do have to prioritize, and you may have to take some things out of the mix from the personal, career, and while I make it very clear, I truly, you've got to think about the emotional, mental, and physical. You may also have to make some sacrifices there. So for instance, if you are a triathlete and you spend 5 hours running every day, you go bike for 8 hours every Saturday so that you can compete in a that may have to give, right? That may no longer be possible until you get to the other side of the dissertation. So it's the perspective, it's the way you approach it, it's thinking through each of the areas. Make sure that you take a moment and you download our overview of kind of the planning and how to think about things and kind of fill in some blanks in terms of reflection. And if you have any questions, please feel free to post them. If you're struggling with one of trying to figure out what to eliminate versus what to keep, and you just want another perspective on it, feel free to ask, because we truly want to help you through this. And if we can provide some additional insight, we are more than happy to do so. In addition, if you have any questions or suggestions on future videos you'd like to see to help you as you move through either the coursework or the dissertation phase, please ask or let us know, because we would love to be able to provide that for you. If you found this content useful, you want to continue interacting with us as you go through this journey, please subscribe to the channel. You'll get alerts when new material comes out, and like the video. We really appreciate your time, and we truly wish you the best on your doctorate journey.